President Sisi reviews progress in Egypt's education sector. Egypt's foreign minister says Cairo is making significant progress toward ending the war in Gaza. The Dutch foreign minister thanks Egypt for facilitating humanitarian aid entry into the Gaza Strip. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has met with Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli and Education Minister Mohammed Abdul Latif to discuss Egypt's education sector progress. Highlights include a record 87.5% student attendance, new curricula incorporating AI, and a UNICEF-backed teacher training program. Plans focus on expanding competitive schools, boosting technical education, and advancing the national reading and writing program, now reaching 1 million students. The new Egyptian baccalaureate system has enrolled 88% of Egypt this year. President Sisi also emphasized investing in education, technology, and improving teachers' welfare, advancing a teaching incentive of £1,000 Egyptian pounds starting November 2025. President Fattah al-Sisi has congratulated the former Tourism Minister Khaled al-Anani on his landslide victory as Director General of UNESCO, securing 55 out of 57 votes. Sisi praised the win as a historic achievement for Egypt, the Arab world, and Africa, highlighting al-Anani's role in promoting cultural dialogue and safeguarding global heritage. The president expressed confidence in al-Anani's ability to represent Egypt's rich civilization on the international stage. Dr. Khaled al-Anani, a distinguished Egyptologist whose long-life passion for history and heritage has elevated Egypt's global culture standing and inspired international recognition of its ancient legacy.
Dr. Khaled al-Anani is renowned for his deep passion for Egyptian antiquities and history, earning recognition as one of Egypt's most prominent ministers of antiquities. A graduate of the Faculty of Tourism Guidance at Hilwan University, al-Anani began his career there as a teaching assistant, later earning a PhD in Egyptology. He taught ancient Egyptian language, civilization, and archaeology at several universities and gained wide academic and administrative experience in Egypt and abroad. He served as Minister of Antiquities from March 2016 to December 2019, and then as Minister of Tourism and Antiquities until August 2022, becoming the first to lead the combined ministry since 1966. His tenure was marked by major efforts to restore Egypt's global tourism standing and preserve its cultural heritage. Al-Anani also collaborated with the French Institute for Oriental Archaeology in Cairo, supervised the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization in Fustat, and managed the Egyptian Museum in Cairo from 2015 to 2016. His distinguished career and contributions to Egyptology, museums, and tourism have earned him international respect. Upon Egypt's nomination of al-Anani for the post of Director General of UNESCO, numerous Arab and African nations, along with the African Union, Arab League, and several European and Asian countries, endorsed his candidacy. Their support reflects recognition of his scholarly achievements, cultural leadership, and proven ability to enhance UNESCO's mission of education, science, and heritage preservation.
Gaza talks between Hamas and Israel delegations continue for the second day. That comes as the atmosphere surrounding the indirect talks between Hamas and Israel is positive, with cautious optimism prevailing about the ending the war in Gaza. That comes as intensive preliminary consultations took place in Doha between Egyptian and Qatari mediators and the Hamas delegation led by Hamas leader Khalil al-Hayya. Egypt's key mediating role alongside Qatar under tight security measures is highlighted. The talks, held under U.S. pressure to reach a deal, focus on securing a ceasefire, easing the humanitarian crisis, and arranging a detainee exchange in line with U.S. President Donald Trump's plan, which he recently expressed optimism about. Egyptian sources said that delegations from Qatar, Turkey and the United States continue to arrive at Sharm el-Sheikh to participate in discussions on implementing U.S. President Donald Trump's Gaza plan. The sources added that Egypt is intensifying efforts with all parties to reach a clear agreement and define the mechanisms required for its execution. The Egyptian sources added that Hamas has confirmed its readiness to release all living detainees and the remains of the deceased, while requesting clarification on the procedures and guarantees to prevent Israel from resuming aggression. That comes as Egypt has begun reviewing lists of Palestinian detainees from release under the exchange agreement, which include prominent figures such as Marwan Barghouti, Ahmed Sadat and Hassan Salema, Abbas al-Sayed and others. Egypt's Foreign Minister Badr Abdulati said that Cairo is making significant progress towards ending the war in Gaza, noting that the Sharm el-Sheikh talks are discussing a security mechanism to ensure Israel's full withdrawal from the Gaza Strip. Speaking at a joint press conference in Cairo with Slovenian Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Tanja Fajon, he said discussions also focused on unrestricted humanitarian aid entry through UN channels and advancing a just peace based on the two-state solution. Abdulati added that talks addressed the release of Israeli and Palestinian detainees and the empowerment of the Palestinian Authority alongside preparations for a reconstruction conference for Gaza. Slovenian Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Tanja Fajon has described the humanitarian situation in Gaza as catastrophic, saying the Gaza Strip has been completely destroyed and urged immediate action to end the war. Speaking alongside Egypt's Foreign Minister Badr Abdulati, she reaffirmed Slovenia's support for international efforts to hold the conflict, including the U.S. President's proposal on Gaza, and called for activating all peace initiatives. Fajon emphasized the urgent need for a ceasefire, the release of all detainees, and unrestricted humanitarian access. On the political front, she reiterated Slovenia's firm backing of the two-state solution and total rejection of any annexation attempts in the West Bank, affirming the Palestinians' full right to establish an independent state and calling for an end to Israeli violations.
Urgent humanitarian assistance and continue with the two-state solution. We just came back from New York last week, when we've seen new recognitions of sovereign and independent Palestinian state, and we strongly welcome
Egypt Foreign Minister Badr Abdulati stressed the need for coordinated European and international efforts to pressure Israel to allow unhindered humanitarian aid into Gaza, warning that the enclave faces famine-level conditions. During a joint press conference with Dutch Foreign Minister, Abdelati briefed his counterpart on Egypt's mediation efforts, including hosting indirect talks between Hamas and Israel linked to U.S. President Donald Trump's proposal. Abdelati invited Dutch participation in Egypt's upcoming reconstruction conference once a ceasefire is reached. He also underscored the importance of protecting Egyptian diplomatic missions in the Netherlands, promoting Nile Basin cooperation under international law, and expanding Egyptian-Netherlands-Africa collaboration and development and humanitarian projects. Dutch Foreign Minister David Van Wiel has described the situation in Gaza as catastrophic after 2 years of war, emphasizing the urgent need to end the cycle of violence and achieve regional stability. Speaking alongside Egyptian Foreign Minister Badr Abdelati, he called U.S. President Donald Trump's plan a historic opportunity to end the conflict, praising Egypt and Qatar's roles in facilitating Hamas's approval to release detainees. Van Wiel hailed Egypt's key mediating role and affirmed his country's readiness to co-host Gaza's reconstruction conference. He announced 25 million euros in Dutch humanitarian aid and reaffirmed strong bilateral ties with Egypt, highlighting cooperation in renewable energy, migration, agriculture, and digital transformation within a strategic partnership framework.
Ensuring that these individuals receive the care and opportunities that they need. And as mentioned by the Minister, the Migration Hub
Dutch Foreign Minister David Van Wiel has arrived in Egypt's Al Arish city to inspect logistical centers and humanitarian support points dedicated to Gaza. During his visit, he praised Egypt's vital role in evacuating thousands of wounded Palestinians from the Gaza Strip, especially the young children. Van Wiel reiterated the urgent need to end the catastrophic situation in Gaza and called for the release of all detainees. His visit comes amidst intensified international efforts to facilitate aid delivery and support ongoing mediation aimed at achieving a ceasefire and easing the humanitarian crisis. Dutch Foreign Minister David Van Wiel has expressed deep concern over the worsening humanitarian situation in Gaza. During a press conference at the Rafah border crossing on the Egyptian side, he thanked Egypt for its pivotal role in facilitating the entry of humanitarian aid into the Gaza Strip and reaffirmed the Netherlands' support for United States President Donald Trump's plan regarding Gaza. Van Wiel stressed the urgent need to bring the war to an immediate end, emphasizing that the continued violence will only worsen the suffering of civilians and undermine efforts towards lasting peace in the region.
caring for thousands of medical evacuees from Gaza, including children. We are currently exploring with the Netherlands how we can contribute to this effort.
Egypt's Foreign Minister Badr Abdelati has announced that U.S. Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff will arrive in Cairo within hours. Speaking at a press conference with German Foreign Minister, Abdelati said Cairo and Berlin discussed arrangements for the upcoming Gaza reconstruction conference and mechanisms to ensure the effective delivery of humanitarian aid. Talks also addressed accelerating the release of detainees and the redeployment of Israeli forces in line with U.S. President Donald Trump's peace plan, leading to full withdrawal. He confirmed that Sharm el-Sheikh meetings focus on guarantees for Israel's withdrawal and implementing the peace roadmap, stressing that Egypt and Germany agree solutions must be political, not military. Egypt's Foreign Minister Badr Abdelati has met with President of the Arab Academy for Science, Technology and Maritime Transport, Dr. Ismail Abdel Ghaffar Ismail. Abdelati highlighted the Foreign Minister's commitment to strengthening cooperation with the Academy in education, training and capacity building, especially in maritime, transport and modern technology fields, to support development in Egypt and the Arab region. He praised the Academy's leading role as a key Arab institution. Dr. Abdel Ghaffar, in turn, expressed appreciation for the Ministry's support and affirmed the Academy's dedication to advancing sustainable development through innovative programs. Egypt's Foreign Minister Badr Abdel has met with Luxembourg's permanent delegate to UNESCO and current chair of the Western European and others groups on the sidelines of the Executive Board's ongoing session in Paris. Abdel expressed appreciation for the strong support extended by Western countries to Egypt's nominee, Dr. Khaled Al-Anani, for the post of UNESCO Director General, highlighting his board expertise and ambitious visions for reforming the organization. The Luxembourg delegate praised Egypt's active role at UNESCO and praised Al-Anani's distinguished credentials, reflecting Egypt's prominent scientific and cultural standing globally. Foreign Minister Badr Abdel and Education Minister Mohammed Abdel Latif have launched the Madrastak for Masr initiative to provide interactive digital classrooms for Egyptian students living abroad. The program enables overseas students to study the national curriculum through coordinated efforts between the Ministries of Foreign Affairs and Education. It aims to support Egyptian communities abroad by offering education that preserves their national identity while adapting to their circumstances. This initiative highlights Egypt's commitment to integrating technology in education and strengthening cultural ties with its diaspora. The tomb of Pharaoh Amenhotep III, one of the largest in Egypt's Valley of the Kings and Queens, has officially opened to the public after extensive restoration. Decades of deterioration have left the ancient structure at risk of collapse, promoting a major conservation project involving more than 260 experts, including restorers, researchers, and technicians. UNESCO's regional director, Nuria Sanz, hailed the work as meeting the highest international standards of preservation, marking a significant milestone in safeguarding Egypt's ancient heritage. The World Bank has raised Egypt's GDP forecast to 4.3% in fiscal year 25 to 26 and 4.8% in fiscal year 2026-2027, citing recovery in agriculture, tourism and steady investment. The bank also called on Egypt and the wider region to remove barriers to women's workforce participation, currently among the lowest globally, noting that boosting female labor force entry could raise GDP per capita by 20 to 30%. Regional growth is forecast at 2.8% in 2025 and 3.3% in 2026, with oil importing nations like Egypt poised to benefit from improved private sector activity. Egypt's trade deficit fell to $5.2 billion in July 2025, down from 5.9% from $5.6 billion a year earlier. Exports increased 2.9% to $3.7 billion, boosted by strong growth in petroleum products, ready-made garments, pasta, and pharmaceuticals. However, exports of plastics, fertilizers, fresh fruits, and crude oil declined. Imports dropped 2.4% to $9 billion, despite higher purchases of petroleum products, natural gas, and cars, and maize. Reductions in iron and steel raw materials, plastic, chemicals, and wheat helped lower overall import costs. That's the end of our news bulletin for this hour. Here's a quick recap of the latest top stories. President Sisi reviews progress in Egypt's education sector. Egypt's foreign ministry says Cairo is making significant progress toward ending the war in Gaza. The Dutch foreign minister thanks Egypt for facilitating humanitarian aid entry into the Gaza Strip. That's all for now. Remember to stay updated by following Qnews for the latest developments. Thank you for watching.